Hey, what's up guys? Admin Zigzagoon here, and joining me once again, Prudy Pratt.
Hola.
So today, I'm going to be showing you guys a best of 3 match that I played against Harrold Khoo, just an exhibition match. I'll be using Big 6 against his Ryogre team. So, Harrold has really improved a lot over time in the time that I've known him in Pokemon Station, and today I view him as one of the scariest opponents that there are. So, we're going to jump right into the battle.
We apologize for the quality of the video in advance. At times, it becomes a little blurry.
Okay, so Harrold's going to go ahead and lead his Kyogre and Talonflame against my Salamence and Talonflame. So we get to Intimidate off on his Talonflame. What do you think about the position, Prudy?
Well, it's good for him in that he can one-hit KO your Salamence and Talonflame with Kyogre, but bad for him in that you could potentially double into Kyogre or Talonflame and KO either.
Right. And obviously his Talonflame puts on a little less pressure with that Intimidate.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to go ahead and switch out the Ments here. So bringing in the Groudon here, we put the weather in our control. Though, it could be risky. He could switch in his Rayquaza in place of Talonflame and just go for a water attack. And that'd be a double KO on my end.
Yeah. But that's an incredibly risky play turn 1, because it has the... If you didn't switch in the Groudon, it wouldn't pay off for him at all.
Right. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get the Tailwind up here. Smartly enough, Harrold goes ahead and goes for the same thing. Let's see what his Kyogre does. So, he predicts that correctly and just goes ahead and Ice Beams the Groudon.
Yeah.
Which was the play against the Salamence anyway.
Yeah. And it covered the Groudon switch fairly well.
Right. So we try to hit that Kyogre, go into a Protect. Now the taunt here is pretty interesting, because now Groudon can't Protect, right?
Yeah. So he has the potential now to switch in his Rayquaza in place of the Talonflame, preserving his Talonflame and giving him the ability to double KO this turn.
Right. So realizing that I'm unable to Protect, I go ahead and switch out the Groudon for Immense, getting another Intimidate off onto that Talonflame.
Yeah, in case it doesn't switch. And if it had switched, it would switch before Groudon.
Right. So he's really smart here, and he doesn't switch in the Rayquaza. He Quick Guards, stopping my Brave Bird, and Water Spouts, just putting off a lot of damage.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really clever play.
So I lose my Talonflame here, and that's actually a crit on my Salamence.
Yeah, that sets you back a little ways.
Just a little bit. So we bring Groudon back in here.
Regaining control of the weather.
Right.
The biggest problem is he still has that Rayquaza switch that we've been talking about.
But instead he chooses to switch his Kyogre out, bringing in his Smeargle. So we're going to go ahead and Mega Evolve the Ments here. Alrighty, so the Talonflame goes for the taunt once again on my Groudon.
Yeah.
We get a big Hyper Voice off.
Finishing off the Talonflame and putting the Smeargle in the yellow.
Easy KO range for anything.
Yeah.
And that would be my Groudon, just finishing it off with an Earth Power. Pretty good turn. Knocking out 2 Mons there. Now this is tricky though, because presumably he has the Rayquaza in the back, and we know he has Kyogre. So there's the Rayquaza.
And there's the Kyogre, yes. So the potential problem for him is, if you have Draco Meteor, and I believe you do, you can
Right.
Draco the Rayquaza and get out of the situation unless he Megas.
Right.
But if he does Mega, he doesn't keep his Airlock to cover the switch.
So it's a little tricky. So I go ahead and get that Groudon out of here, knowing that it's just really not doing much here. Protect the Salamence.
Yeah, to cover the extreme speed, potentially KOing.
He gets another Water Spout off here.
Yeah, the Airlock fortunately keeps Zern alive through it. It
Right.
probably would have survived anyways, but not very well.
No. And especially, this E-Speed right here would have KO'd it as well had it not been for the Airlock before too.
Yeah.
So he reveals his Life Orb, but the Draco connects.
Yeah, for the easy OHKO.
Right. So that's a big problem, just out of the way now.
Yeah. and it means you're going to gain control of the weather again, and that your Groudon's going to have a pretty easy time finishing up this match.
Right.
Especially with the damage these two are going to put onto the Kyogre before it comes in. And that always helps.
Of course. Realizing that I don't really need Geomancy, just go ahead and go for the Moonblast. We lose Mence.
Which is fine. It did its job.
Yes, it definitely put in a lot of work. So Groudon comes back in here, regaining control of the weather.
Yeah. And with his Kyogre at -1 special attack, he would need a series of crits, and he would have to take out the Groudon very quick, and then freeze or burn the Xerneas to have a chance at winning this.
And of course, he can't even freeze it
with
the Desolate Land on the field.
Yeah. And I don't believe a crit would even KO the Groudon at this range, but he goes for the Zern smartly.
Right.
Knowing that your special Groudon, you can't do as much to Kyogre.
That's correct. So I do believe this Earth Power will finish it off, though.
Yes.
So, pretty clean game one in my favor. So, what did you think about that match, Purdue?
Well, it gave you a lot of valuable information going into game two, in that, you know, you learned the speeds, I believe, of his Pokemon at least, and the item on his Rayquaza, which is incredibly important.
Right. Yeah, that was a big thing I was going to mention. Now, we haven't correctly identified the item on Smeargle yet, but we know that it's not Scarf.
Yeah. So most likely
presumably
Sash.
It's Sash.
Could be Mantler, but at this point in the format, it wasn't as popular.
Right. So it looks like in this game he did make an adjustment, bringing Ferrothorn this time instead of his Talonflame.
Mm-hmm. An adjustment I'm not 100% sure I agree with, because the only merit to bringing the Ferrothorn is preventing a potential Xerneas sweep.
Right. So we're going to see how this plays out going into game two. So he's going to lead his Kyogre Smeargle this time. And I send out my Talonflame and Xerneas. An interesting lead.
Yeah, so this one has a lot of potential to go either way.
Right.
Now, I believe you were max speed Xerneas, so you know you outspeed the Kyogre. So it would seem like Quick Guard, Geomancy, you know, could be a very good play to cover a fake out Water Spout.
Right.
But also switching in Groudon and potentially Moonblasting the Smeargle or just Dazzling Gleaming. You know, you have a lot of options here.
He smartly goes for the Follow Me here, knowing that targeting down his Kyogre is something I want to do.
Yeah, to weaken the Water Spout.
So now we do know that it is Sash. Now, as you mentioned before, I am max speed Xerneas, so I'm guaranteed to get the Geomancy off before his Kyogre can move.
Yes. Which is you know, it's great in that you'll take the Water Spout much better than you previously would with double special defense.
Much better. So we get that Geomancy off, get that special attack, special defense, and speed up.
Water Spout, easy KO on the Talonflame, and puts a lot of damage on the Zern despite having the Geomancy boost. But it's still
it doesn't take it under 50, so that's very fortunate. This Xerneas does have a little bulk too, so you know it can survive some hits. Mainly physical bulk.
Yeah, the Smeargle there getting the evasion boost. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it makes things a little scary.
But the nice thing right now is that, you know, he can't switch in his Ray and take out the Groudon. He has to focus down on the Zern and use his Smeargle as an asset to try to put you both to sleep.
Especially knowing that he's Life Orb, he can't switch in on a Xerneas like that.
Yeah.
So he goes for the Wide Guard, which I think is a pretty smart play, but I don't end up falling for it.
Mm-hmm. Going for the Moonblast to cover the Fallen Me. Yeah.
So we get a lot of damage off and a special attack drop.
Yeah. That's unfortunate for him.
Yeah. So he gets that Ice Beam off, not doing as much damage as it usually would, but Smeargle avoids the Flamethrower.
Yeah. Moody, it has the ability to turn a game around really quickly.
Yes, it does. So his Smeargle goes for the Follow Me this time, knowing that I'm going for single target attacks.
Yeah. Trying not to fall for the Wide Guard.
So the Smeargle avoids the Moonblast from the Xerneas. Knowing that he needs to get damage onto Xerneas, he goes ahead and targets it down. But again, we miss the Smeargle with Groudon.
Fortunately, he doesn't get, like, a speed boost or something.
Yeah.
He gets an accuracy drop, too, meaning the Smeargle's only good now for Wide Guard and Follow Me. The Dark Void is it's likely it would miss if he went for it.
So he goes for the Wide Guard, but I'm still not falling for it, just going straight for the attacks.
Yeah.
So we take care of that Kyogre, putting a huge threat out of the way.
Yeah, giving Groudon almost free reign to finish off the rest of his team.
Yeah. And that Flamethrower does connect this time, finishing off the last HP that the Smeargle had. So in comes Rayquaza and the Ferrothorn that we saw that he adjusted with.
So this position's really quite bad for him, especially since he has Life Orb Rayquaza, because he can't stop you from KOing the Rayquaza and Ferrothorn. He has no way to stop either one bar an E-Speed crit on your Xerneas.
Right. So he goes ahead and Mega Evolves, giving him that Delta Stream and protects his Ferrothorn.
Yeah. I mean, it was his only play. He had to do it.
So he goes for the E-Speed here. On some Xerneas, this would get it. That may have actually been a roll. Not really sure. But we survive on 1 HP, getting that Moonblast for an easy KO on Rayquaza.
Yeah, and the Ferrothorn stands no chance against
At this point, there's nothing that can stop what I have on the field.
Yeah. And yeah, that should wrap up the game.
Yeah. Harrold realizes he's not going to be able to win that one, so goes ahead and forfeits. So a good game to Harrold.
Yeah. Very nice. GG.